rectangle because you have a certain height and you have a certain width.
Okay.
On a flat surface, it is a rectangle. Okay, so we'll start with the center. Now we did 180 and 100 to find our center for our frames. Now the X is not going to change because this is going to be center no matter what, and we always want our line to be middle. What is going to change is how far it goes front to back, and that's where I mean that that we can't mount the frame until we know our physical limit. Okay. So our center is going to be your center no matter what. Now what I do want to see now is if I do 180 and I do 100, I'll just give these, actually, let me give them more in a
That's if you put it on a cap mode.
That's if you put it on a cap mode. This is where it's going to
You have to know your limit before.
Right. Now, usually the limits I had is side to side it should be able to travel about 270 degrees. Okay? So I'm going to figure in that's about 7 inches side to side. And that will be in my X direction. So we're going to come in here. And you gotta love these online converters. What I don't love is the internet speed. About 7 inches. And height wise, you know what? The average size is about 2 1/4. Physically, the machine can do 2 3/4, but I don't let people go that far unless they really know what they're doing. So I'll meet it at the middle and I'll give it 2 1/2 inches in height for a hat. But 2 1/4, if anybody asks you, 2 1/4 is the standard, whether it's on a dad cap, which is, you know, the floppy hats with no structure, or even a snapback, it should be 2 1/2. And that puts us at 63 millimeters, just roughly. Okay. 63 and 177. So our 63 in height, which is in Y, and our 177 left to right. I'm going to go ahead and press this here. We're going to go over to our, find our J, which is our hat, and select it. Now I'm not going to mount this because I want to see physically what the arm does first. Okay, so let's see where it takes us. Notice how far we are back. We're not centered. So I need that Y to come further forward, further front. So we'll go back in here, or Y, and let's go ahead and bring it down to 80. Came closer. It's funny because I pulled this back and it looked like it didn't move at all. Okay, Y. All right, let's try 40. Surely they go farther back. Yeah, it's going forward back. Let's try 150 then.
There you go.
A little bit too much, right? Let's go. Okay.
Well, you'd have to go. You'd actually have to go
down
more than 150 because when it sews,
it's a little bit too far. Now remember, that's just the center. That's not the limit. That's just its center point when it picks out where it's gonna move to, or where it's gonna center when you pick it, when you choose it. So 120 was a little too far back. Let's try 130.
So if you have a design, you got different designs, you can set different parameters here, or that cap setting is only going to be...
That cap setting, well, what we try to do is we try to go a max on how much area we're going to use on a hat, and we go to center the frame automatically, because the only way that the machine could figure out the limit is by starting from a middle, or from a center point. So that's what the center does. Now, no matter what design you pick, it's going to work within these limits, or within these settings. Okay. Now, if you have something that's very large, out of the ordinary, that's where you either have to switch to another frame, or edit your frame size as long as you know that it's going to fit physically.
Okay.
That's really what you want to make sure of. So, now, before I go, that's perfect. Notice our front is right up against the needle plate, Our center tab is centered, so it's framing perfectly. Now, one of the things I was mentioning is when I pick a frame, okay, so I come in here and I go in there, notice how the cap is now?
Yep.
All right, so if I pick a frame and I pick the hat frame, notice why I can't load this first. I want you to see. I want to see how far this arm goes back. Look how far that goes back.
Yeah.
Now I want to show you physically, that's as far as it goes. That's as far as it should go. Now why? Look back here.
You hit this.
Right, because unlike a hoop, this cylinder is mounted on a guide rail, and that, you know, that cylinder is going to reach a top end. So that's why we want to choose our frame first and then load the actual driver on the machine. Okay? Now once you are centered, and I'll pick it one more time. Once you're centered, you load your device in here. Lock it in place. Por favor, George, dame una hora de esa que está en la máquina. Now take a look at this. This is the cap logo that we have. See how that fits on the hat there?
Yes.
And I can rotate, and I won't, you know, I won't go over the limits. Now, as far as X is concerned, I left it a little small. You know, 7 inches is usually the front of the hat, and that's what you want to cover on the panels. But if they want to do the sides, then you could actually go and you could change the limit on X and make it wider, so you have more field to turn your hat. Cap. Now that you have the cap setting, you can actually skip having to flip the design, because since you're going to a cap preset, it automatically rotates it, so you don't have to worry about that anymore.
That's nice.
Okay. So on this hat, notice how our center is actually a little bit lower than what we set it to. It's a little too high. So in order for that needle to center a little bit better on the hat, this is where it should center to. Yeah. Okay, so now, in order to get that, what I've asked them to do to make this a little bit better and easier on the cap end is I told them to mount the centering sensors. It uses some optical sensors to find the center. That's why you see it run to one side and then run back. So what I've told them to do is to try to mount those sensors further front, so then whenever we need to choose our frame, I could throw this in there, it could frame, and I don't have to worry about it hitting the back. So, you know, that's one of the fixes that I have them do, one of the upgrades I have them do in the, hopefully in the next batch of machines. Alright, so I wanted to come out a little bit further to get our center a little bit better. So we're talking about Y. Now, I believe it was at 150 that we had it, that it went further forward. Yep. We'll try it now. That center's a lot better. See that? We'll go down. We'll go up. So that's pretty good. Right? We could cover a lot more ground. All we have to do is go back in there. If we want more area, and edit that size, and we could do, you know, we could do 70, 75. Now notice I didn't take this off. You can X out, and it won't look for the area again. It'll just make that bigger. So it does travel a bit further down. So it all depends on what limits you want to give the customer, or what limits they want to give themselves. Usually, when it's someone that's a little bit more technically inclined, you could show them how to go in there and and adjust their settings.